Hi, welcome to Smith and Grezzy. Following the recent sad news of the passing of the legendary Gordon Higginbottom, we thought we'd do a short programme in a way of a thanks for Gordon, his musical gifts, his comedy, and just for being pure Gordon. Sandy, he was a real good friend of yours, Gordon.
Yeah, we went back a long way. When I moved from Flugel onto the tenor horn about 1979, I was using a band instrument, obviously. And Kevin Bolton was the resident conductor of Whitburn. And Kevin knew Gordon really well. They were both in VB.
Yeah.
And the relationship probably went back further than that. And I think at the time Gordon was working for Barrett's of Manchester, and he sorted me out a tenor horn.
Oh, lovely.
From Gordon.
Yeah.
A new one, new Sovereign, round stamp, bits of which are still in. I've still got the case. The case is still original.
Is it that blue one?
The blue case, yeah. The horn, it's a bit like Trigger's broom. There's been, new bits on it and bits and that. There is still some of the original horn on it.
Yeah.
And that's how I got to know Gordon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at the time, you're young. I was a teenager, and you're looking around at your instrument, saying, who do you listen to? Who do you listen to? And at the time, for me, there was three players that I sort of revered above others.
Yeah.
And I looked to try and learn things, glean information, listen to. That was Kevin Wadsworth, who was at Black Dyke, still a good friend, only lives a mile and a half away from here. Brian Smith at Grimethorpe, and Gordon.
Three wonderful players.
And all very different.
Yeah,
but they were the ones who were the most inspiring to me, and the ones I wanted to sort of rub shoulders with and learn from and get information from.
Yeah.
But by the time, I mean, when I was young like that and starting off, Gordon had been a well-known soloist in bands for donkey's years. I mean, I've got his autobiography, he signed it for me. There's some wonderful stories in there, and at the beginning of that book, it says that he started playing the cornet in 1947.
Wow.
Battered old cornet, like we probably all did. And that was his first foray into band, and he came from a banding background. His dad was the trombone. And then it was suggested to him a couple of years after that they move on to the tenor horn. Now, it doesn't say whether that was his suggestion or whether it was someone else's to get him off the cornet onto the horn, but
well, I see that we were very lucky that he did move on to tenor horn, because he's provided us with some wonderful moments.
Yeah, he did. And by the time, I was getting into it in the late 70s, there was already recorded evidence of the stature of Gordon Higginbottom. He has it's well recorded, Gordon's banding career, all the way through CWS Manchester in the late 50s, when he was appointed solo horn there when he was 15 years old, and you've got to remember at the time
that was some band, wasn't it?
They were. CWS Manchester were a top notch band.
Yeah,
and so he was flung into that, and you got to remember also it's a different era. This was the era of solo contests.
Yeah.
Huge solo contests where you would be drawn number 75 or something, quartet contest. And Gordon made a name for himself at these events as a youngster, and playing with various ensembles, various bands and quartets and things. And then he joined Wingate's band, same sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then by the time it got into the 70s, that's when the James Shepherd Versatile Brass took off in 1973, and Gordon was in the process of being sort of asked to join Black Dyke, and then the story goes, and I think Jim said this. I remember talking to Jim Shepherd about it. They had one of those meetings that we used to have across the road in the Stag, and Gordon had been up to play.
Yeah.
And afterwards in the pub, Jim and a few others, probably Raspy and Colin Aspinall and that said, "Don't join. We're leaving. We're going to start this brass group." And Higgy went with that, and Versatile Brass was
it was brilliant.
Just so different, and but when I started, even before I was on horn, I was listening to VB, because you had these stunningly good players, and they were playing stuff that was just dead interesting, a variety of stuff, and that's where Gordon really made a name, I think, for himself as a soloist. He was having arrangements written by the likes of Mike Hopkinson. Mike did the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto sort of thing. I remember writing that out. There was no, it wasn't published at the time. I would listen over and over and over to the record and write it out, and then try and play along, and stuff like that. And then you had composers where were writing stuff for him. I mean, the list of composers there is on the back of the biography. A few sort of title pages from things that were written for him. Higgy Jig, Gough Richards. The big one, is probably September Fantasy, Eric Ball, which was written when he was at the Virtuoso Brass Band, solo horn for that. Bagatelles by Howard Snell, Cornucopia, Brown Wiggins, Rhapsody by John Golland. I mean, there was lots and lots of these things written. I mean, other composers that wrote stuff, Bill Relton, Philip Spark, Ray Woodfield, all these sort of people, Roy Newsom.
So he went a long way to developing the original soloist repertoire for tenor horn players. He
did, because before that, horn players had pretty scant repertoire, really. They would have little arrangements. I know there was an arrangement kicking about at one time of the second movement of Mozart's Clarinet Concerto that some bands had. It was a manuscript thing. And then there were things like Silver Threads Amongst the Gold and all that. So, the little A-Vary ones, they were never as complicated or as tricky as some of the cornet and euphonium ones. And there was things like Jenny Jones, which was a pretty bit more substantial one. Gordon played that, and then he had forays into stuff with the mellophonium. I ended up buying a mellophonium in the early 80s because I wanted one like Gordon, and I had the good fortune at one point, I played at Versatile Brass helping out when Gordon wasn't there and stuff, and managed to get the mellophonium out and give it a thrash through. And they had the Alp horn and all that sort of stuff. But he was the one that, if you were looking for solo repertoire, you would go to Gordon first. You would listen to what Gordon was playing and think, right, where can I get this? How can I get a hold of this? And how can I learn it and all that stuff? But I was saying about those three people that I really sort of revered, looked up to. They were all very different players. Kevin Wadsworth was the sound of Waddy that I really tried to emulate or go for. Gordon was more flamboyant, he was more the soloist. I mean, I think he says in the biography it never really felt comfortable for him. I've got to say, I recognise that a bit. I was always more interested in being a solo horn player in a section and leading a section and being, you know what I mean? But Gordon did it the right way. He'd done a career in banding. He'd played with Sylvester Manchester, with Wingates. He'd won loads of solo stuff and quartet prizes and etc. etc. By the time it came to the 70s, he was solo horn of the Virtuoso Brass Band of Great Britain. And various other little ensembles like that. There was one that Eric Banks put together, Concert Brass. He was solo horn of that, playing bespoke arrangements and stuff. But instead of missing from his normal band, he just packed it in and went to VB. Yes, he had VB, but he wasn't. He would do his solo gigs and develop a solo career properly. He wasn't one of these who was trying to sort of pretend they were they were soloists in their own right, and then playing with a band, but letting the band down all the time. Gordon didn't do that. He went for it 100%.
So it's just for our younger listeners, that's akin to what Stephen Mead, David Childs and Owen Farr do. They're not with a band, they are specific soloists, and that's what Gordon, well, let's say, pioneered it.
He did pioneer it, but he did it properly.
Yes.
Yeah, he did it properly. So he wasn't letting a band down. He was solely dedicated to developing the tenor horn as a solo instrument.
Yeah.
And also, what we've got to remember is that he was a fantastic player, brilliant technique, etc. But his stage persona was something else. Right? So he commanded a stage. He was that sort of droll, Lancastrian, sort of lugubrious, hangdog comedy thing. You know, the only person I've ever seen do it to the same degree of virtuosity, if you want to put it that way, the stage presence is Sean Crowther.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Comedians, natural comedians.
That natural ability to just come on and without playing a note, have an audience in the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
You know, and there were funny stuff. I mean, the famous one is the Mellophonium, the Blight of the Fumblebee, where they got dressed up. And, you know, I mean, I saw that.
I did.
Umpteen times, you know. And
it was just brilliant.
Hilarious, you know. And just,
but as well, Sam,
it was much more than just...
The whole group got right into it, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
It was comedy at its absolute best.
Yeah, he was great at that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah.
But the playing was always first and foremost, you know.
It was.
It was never just the playing was slapdash and the comedy was mucking about. You know, I mean, you do get that a bit. We've talked about this a while ago about people doing the bare necessities and putting a bare onesie costume on and thinking that's it. Yeah. Gordon really lived it and did it properly, and he could be touching, he could be funny, he could be everything about it. He had a strong relationship with Roy Castle.
Yeah, I was just going to say he really developed that relationship. They worked closely a lot, didn't they?
They did. They did a lot of stuff together.
Yeah.
I think Roy eventually bought a Mellophonium and used to do duets and all that sort of stuff, the bit of joke telling and all that sort of thing. I never saw them together working. I did do a concert once with Roy Castle in Tormodin Band. I was helping out Michael Allen, who comes from Tormodin, trumpet player now for a long time. And I helped Tormodin Band out in Tormodin Town Hall. And the conductor was Jeff Love. Nobody will probably know who Jeff Love is.
I remember now. Jeff Love.
But yeah, he did all those records, and, you know, Western themes and war themes. He was always on the telly. Saturday night, MD for, you know, the big stars of the day.
Yeah.
And Roy Castle did this. I can't remember exactly why, but that was good fun. But I never saw them together. But they worked extensively. And had a really strong relationship, and it appealed obviously to more than just banders. Yeah, you know, and I mean his career. I mean everything, teaching. You know, all the big colleges when they were all starting out, the Salford, the Royal Northerns, and all that. Gordon was there. Yeah, in many of those instances, I took over from Gordon when he'd retired. Yeah, and. It was just a sort of, so I got to know him really well, you know.
He was just a lovely person. I mean, outside, I mean, I got to know Gordon only a little bit, to be honest, but it was when I used to go and listen to Versatile Brass rehearsing in Union Croft Church in Queensbury. And I used to sit there, and some of the banter they used to have was hilarious.
Oh, God.
And... you know, and then just sit there in awe. He commanded that stage. It was unreal.
Yeah. I can just picture it now. That, you know, sort of not shambling on, but that sort of ambly walk, and then, you know, the hangdog expression, and then he lifts the instrument up and all that. But I don't think people probably will struggle to remember him. Apart from people of our vintage. But he was the influence on tenor horn players at the time.
Well, for youngsters learning now, they could do no better than go and search the YouTube, Spotify archives for
There's all
recordings of
sorts.
Gordon.
Yeah.
There's a lot of material on there, and it's brilliant.
Yeah, there is. I mean, he taught all over the world.
Yeah,
You know, youth band courses, all that sort of thing. Yeah, he was. Yeah, we kept in touch a lot. One of the last. Well, no, it's quite a few years ago now. Kevin Wadsworth and I decided to go to Blackpool to the Grand Shield
yeah,
just for a listen,
yeah.
just for a day out. And lo and behold, Gordon was judging one of the sections. Can't remember which one. It wasn't the Grand Shield. One of the other two.
Yeah,
And I managed to get a picture at the end. So there's
I've seen that. Yeah,
yeah, Kevin and me and Gordon all together, which
what a
was
trio.
quite nice. That was nice.
Yeah,
And yeah, he's had an absolutely fantastic career. He worked for lots of, Yamaha Kemble was the company
Yeah.
he worked for. He worked for Barrett's. There's all sorts of things that
Yeah.
he was doing, and the stories in the book about some of the people that he came across in that side of his work.
yeah.
You know, Alan Vizzuti, the trumpeter.
Yeah.
I remember going. I don't know if you were there. Do you remember the concert that James Morrison did in Salford?
Yes,
You
I
might have
played on it.
You might have been playing, yeah.
Yeah,
And it was in the Peel Hall, wasn't it?
yeah.
Gordon
yeah.
organised that,
Oh, did it?
and there was basically looked like a straight trade stand on one side of the hall, full of instruments like you would see at a trade stand, all sorts of stuff. And James Morrison just he was talking and to the audience and all this and going across. Then he'd swap his trumpet for a saxophone, and then he'd put the saxophone back and pick up the trombone or the tenor horn or the euphonium or something. And the audience was full of people and big people from all sorts of big bands, orchestras.
They even had Canadian brass on that concert.
Yeah,
it was a big event.
I think that was one of Gordon's sort of events, But he was just, he was the ultimate sort of entertainer.
Yeah,
from
Sandy,
a brass band tenor horn point of view.
One of the biggest tributes I ever saw were the players that came together for his retirement concert.
Yeah,
I forget the year, to be honest, but it was a who's who of brass banding.
That was in Uppermill, wasn't it?
It was. And it was
a
fantastic event.
Yeah.
Really quite emotional.
I played on that solo.
Yeah, me too.
It was packed out.
Yeah.
There was all sorts of VB players playing in the band.
Steve Sykes did solos.
Steve Sykes, Bob and Nick did something.
Bob and Nick did it. And it was a real event, wasn't it?
It was, and it was typical Gordon as well. I think, as far as I remember, we did all sorts of things. My Way. He did My Way as a solo.
He finished with My Way.
And then, was it Thanks for the Memory he played?
Yeah.
I think Goff had arranged that, but it was typical Gordon.
Yeah.
I remember we had a very scant sort of rehearsal beforehand.
Yeah.
And halfway through this, because that was the old Bob Hope, thanks for the memory, and he'd talk and he'd, all that. And we had this sort of vamp thing going on in the band, just Goff had written it, just background chords and stuff. And it came to this bit, and then Gordon got the mic and started, speaking. It was like hilarious, and at the end it was, and whatever he said, blah, blah, blah. And so, here's to all the good times. Thanks for the memory, bam, and the band sort of burst into, and that was just typical Gordon, right over the top.
Together.
It was, so a great character and the biggest influence on tenor horn players, I think, ever. He kicked it up the backside.
He did
in the 70s.
Yeah.
And took it forward a bit.
It was an absolute treasure. It's a really sad time.
It's it's not totally unexpected, I suppose.
No, it doesn't make it any easier, does it?
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. But he had such a fantastic long life. Yeah. And career in music, and I personally have got a hell of a lot to thank
Yeah.
him for, you know, including getting me my first tenner home,
Yeah.
you know.
So,
So,
Gordon Higginbottom, thanks for the memories.